Okay, now I'd like to show another ad here. This one's from 1885, 20 years later, and it's for another hair renewer tonic. This one is called Ayers Hair Vigor. This looks like it might have been a smaller ad, still probably in a newspaper. I'm just going to read it here. As an illustration of the beneficial effects of Ayers Hair Vigor, we refer to the case of Mrs. Oliver Davenport of Williamstown, Vermont, aged 59 years, who at the age of 20 became bald and remained so 38 years. During this time, she tried many hair restorers with no effect. Coming by chance into possession of a part of a bottle of Ayers Hair Vigor, she applied the liquid, and soon a downy growth of hair began to cover her head. With the use of less than 4 bottles more, she has now a fine growth of brown hair, 12 inches long, covering her head, except a small spot on top. This has starting upon it a downy growth, which Mrs. Davenport believes a persevering use of the vigor will cause to become abundant like the rest. This statement will be verified by the postmaster of Williamstown, also by the editor of the Northfield, Vermont News. Okay, so I guess this ad was posted in the Northfield, Vermont News. So this is interesting here. This is a totally different take than the previous ad. There's no before and after here, not visually anyways. It doesn't use any type of reward or any type of guarantee. It uses a story. And it's very interesting that the story involves a woman. Now, if we look at the illustration or the logo that goes with this, it's a lion, that's on top of the sign that shows the name of the product. And then to the right of that, there's also the product, little illustration of the product. To me, a lion looks like a masculine kind of mascot. So I think ultimately this is appealing to males as well. However, in the previous ad, we saw a before and after of a man. And then we also heard that it worked for old, young, and middle-aged alike, but it did not specify women. So that previous ad missed out on basically half of their potential audience. They were trying to get the old, trying to get the middle-aged, and trying to get the young, but they ignored the potential female demographic for their product. Here at Ayers, they use a story, and they've used this story of actually a woman who used their product. I think that's really interesting, and it goes back to what I was speaking about on the other product, or on the other ad, about the whole kind of shame angle. The angle that people are a little bit ashamed. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, shame, but they're not proud of the fact that they might be losing their hair. They kind of want to hide that fact. Even today, now it's a little more acceptable for people to go bald or to just shave their head or even to wear a wig. It's a lot more accepted. But back in the day, I'm pretty sure it was very shameful to lose your hair. And now if you're a lady, it's very unladylike to lose your hair. And there's so much more that has to do with beauty and that type of thing that's involved with women than there is for men. Losing your hair at a certain point can be seen as masculine, but it's never really seen as feminine. So if you want to be a feminine woman, you don't want to lose your hair. Now, interestingly, by talking about a female, I feel like they soften that shame for a male who was reading this. A male might read this and they think to themselves, they wouldn't think, oh, this is only for women. It's obviously not. And that's kind of backed up by the logo of a lion. And also the fact that there's probably been years and years and years of this type of advertising that men know that this product is also for them. But there is a psychological thing where if a man is reading this, they might feel sorry for that woman. They might feel it kind of distances them from their own feelings of inadequacy about their hair. But at the same time, it gets the message through that there is a solution. So this is an interesting angle to use. Not only does it open up a larger part of the potential demographic who could use this product, but it also softens the ego blow for the male side, for the potential male customer for this product as well. Okay, now the ad just jumps in right with a story, and it just says, as an illustration of the beneficial effects of our product, here's this story. This lady was 59 years old. At the age of 20, she was bald. She was bald for 38 years. She tried lots of other stuff, right? Then by chance, she came into possession of a bottle of this. She applied it, and then soon after, hair began to cover her head. All right, so this is like problem, Agitation, right? The problem, she was bald since 20. She's been agitation. She's been bald for 38 years. She tried everything, right? And then the solution comes. She happened upon a bottle of this. She applied it, and soon hair began to cover her head. With the use of less than 4 bottles, she now has a fine growth of brown hair, 12 inches long, covering her head except a small spot on top. This is really important. Not only do they add specificity, the use of 4 bottles, and that she has 12 inches of hair now covering her head. This puts into the mind of the potential prospect the work that might be involved. It's not going to happen overnight. It might take 3 or 4 or maybe even more bottles, but it gives them hopefully a realistic, I mean, assuming that these products work at all. And this is from, again, 140 years ago. So it's not even about the actual use of the product, of course. It's about the advertising that they use to sell it and the techniques they use to sell it. So they add specificity. They add an idea of what the customer can expect. Also, this admission that she has hair covering her head except a small spot on top. Again, this is just like in the previous ad when they talked about giving a reward as long as it was used as prescribed. Okay, again, this adds to the realism of the ad. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen with 1 bottle. And even though this person had a miraculous turn of events and she now has hair on her head, there is a small spot on top, right? They go on to say that she believes that with persevering use of the product, that small spot will also become full of hair, right? So they've used the woman in the story who has had the success, and they've used her as kind of a proof element and a credibility to say that even she, it's her opinion that the hair is going to come back. It's not us saying this, it's her that feels that way. Now, the final sentence in this ad, this statement will be verified by the postmaster of Williamstown, also by the editor of the Northfield, Vermont News, right? This is just a proof and a credibility saying, hey, we're not lying. You can ask these people who have authority and are reputable figures. So there's a lot going on in this ad. It has an interesting use of story. It uses a before and after in the form of a story. It uses a problem, agitation, solution kind of format, and it ends with a punch of proof and credibility. Interesting to note in both of these ads that there isn't much of a call to action. That was missing from this type of advertising at the time. Now, even though these ads are 140 to 160 years old, I think they're still using techniques that are in use today. They've been refined. They've changed a bit because of laws and legalities and rules, which is great, but it goes to show that these types of techniques have been working for a long, long time.